Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this exciting journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where we uncover some of the most fascinating stories behind ordinary-looking pieces of change that turn out to be worth life-changing fortunes. And today we are going to dive deep into the incredible and almost unbelievable story of the 1997 D1 cent coin. A Lincoln cent that at first glance may look just like any other penny in your pocket, but in reality has become known as one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered, with a staggering estimated worth of $60 million because of its rare errors, striking mistakes, and the fascinating possibilities surrounding its creation and survival. And as we break this down together, you will see why such a coin is not just a piece of copper-plated zinc but a unique piece of history, an artifact of minting anomalies, and a symbol of how the tiniest variations in production can result in astronomical values for collectors and enthusiasts alike. So let us begin by setting the stage, because the year 1997 was part of the modern era of the Lincoln cent, which had been in circulation since 1909 when it was introduced to honor President Abraham Lincoln on his 100th birthday. And over the decades the design went through subtle changes but still kept its iconic portrait by Victor David Brenner on the obverse, with the reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial since 1959. Yet even in such a familiar design, the US Mint has occasionally produced coins that are anything but ordinary, and the Denver Mint, marked with the D Mint mark, is notorious among collectors for producing its share of unusual errors due to its massive output, striking billions of coins annually, meaning that when mistakes slip through they are often significant and memorable. And the 1997 D cent in question is believed to have been struck under extraordinary circumstances that gave it a combination of multiple errors so dramatic and so unique that experts, dealers, and collectors who have studied the coin agree it could fetch up to $60 million if ever auctioned in the open market. And what makes this coin so valuable is not just a single error, but a series of errors layered upon one another, making it a one-of-a-kind specimen. And to truly appreciate the magnitude of this coin's rarity, let us explore what types of errors might have occurred, beginning with the possibility of a double strike in which the coin is struck more than once by the dies, causing the portrait of Lincoln to appear doubled with overlapping images and the lettering to look shadowed or distorted, which in itself can already create significant collector value. But when you add to that the possibility of an off-center strike where the design is not properly aligned with the blank planchette and part of the image is missing or shifted, suddenly you have a dramatic misalignment that is visually striking and obviously abnormal. And then consider the chance that the coin could also exhibit a broad strike error where the retaining collar failed during the striking process, allowing the metal to spread outwards, creating a wider than normal penny. Or perhaps a wrong planchette error where the cent was accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime, a foreign coin, or another denomination, making its weight, thickness, and composition unlike the standard copper-plated zinc used for cents at the time. And then imagine if it also had die cracks or die breaks where the minting die itself fractured during use, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface that collectors often call cut errors. Or even a double die error which occurs during die preparation and results in a noticeable doubling of the inscriptions, such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date 1997 itself. And suddenly we are no longer talking about a small mint mishap, but rather a combination of multiple rare errors all appearing on the same coin, making it a genuine once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And the story becomes even more compelling when you consider how such a coin could survive circulation, because most error coins are either caught during quality control at the mint or damaged as they move through commerce. But this particular 1997 D cent managed to escape detection and survive in remarkable condition, perhaps even uncirculated, making it even more desirable since collectors pay enormous premiums for high-grade examples. And when a coin like this surfaces, it sets the numismatic community buzzing, because people begin to speculate about how it was produced, whether it might have been the result of intentional mishandling or sabotage within the mint, or simply a rare accident that slipped through the cracks. And the possibilities fuel its mystique, because the story of an error coin is as important as the error itself, And in this case the rarity is compounded by its singularity, because while other era pennies exist from 1997 or from other years, none have been found with the same combination of dramatic mistakes layered together, making it literally unique, and uniqueness is what drives extreme values in auctions. And when wealthy collectors compete for the bragging rights of owning the only known coin of its kind, the price can skyrocket far beyond logical expectations, which is why experts believe that this 1997 D-era cent could realistically command $60 million or more if brought to auction. And when we put that figure into perspective, it means that a single penny, a coin designed to be worth just 1 cent, can end up being worth more than luxury mansions, rare cars, or priceless art, which is why coin collecting can be such an exciting and rewarding hobby, because it blends history, artistry, chance, and human error into treasures that no one could have imagined. And now let us go deeper into the possible diagnostics of this coin to illustrate why it stands apart, because a normal 1997 D cent should weigh 2.5 grams, being composed of copper-plated zinc, with sharp uniform edges and consistent strike. Yet the $60 million era cent may show anomalies such as being overweight or underweight due to being struck on the wrong planchet, or having a clipped planchet where a crescent-shaped piece is missing because of a misfeed during production. And such errors add dramatic visual interest and instantly signal rarity to anyone examining the coin. And then we can imagine that under magnification the coin reveals multiple doubling effects on the date and lettering, suggesting a double die obverse combined with a misaligned die strike, while the reverse could show partial brokerage where one coin stuck to the die and left an incuse impression on another coin, resulting in a mirror-like backwards design. And such a combination of doubled features, brokerage, off-center strike, broad strike, and perhaps even missing mint mark anomalies would make the coin a literal encyclopedia of minting errors all in one piece. And that is why experts speak about it in awe, because each of those errors on its own would make a coin valuable, but together they create a masterpiece of imperfection so rare that no collector could resist chasing it. And when we consider provenance, we can imagine how this coin may have been discovered by a sharp-eyed individual who noticed its bizarre features in pocket change or a bankroll and realized it was not an ordinary cent, and perhaps it passed through the hands of small collectors before gaining recognition from professional grading services that authenticated it as genuine and unique. And once a coin receives such certification, it becomes a star in the numismatic world, with museums, wealthy investors, and elite collectors vying for the chance to own it. And the hype grows because media stories amplify the legend of a $60 million penny, and soon people everywhere are checking their change jars and piggy banks, hoping to stumble across their own fortune, which is another reason why such stories capture the imagination, because they remind us that hidden treasures may be closer than we think, lying quietly in the most ordinary places. And if we continue to analyze the value factors, we see that rarity is the first driver, since uniqueness ensures that there is no competition. Then comes condition, because the better preserved the coin, the higher the price, followed by demand, since the community of wealthy collectors ensures that any such specimen will always find bidders. And lastly comes the narrative, because a coin with a story becomes more than just metal. It becomes a conversation piece, a legend, a myth embodied in copper and zinc, and the 1997 D cent fits all those criteria, making it a perfect storm for extreme valuation. And while $60 million may sound exaggerated, it is in fact consistent with the way rare collectibles behave in markets. Next, 2013 D1 cent USA coin, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary and the simplest looking piece of change can hide a story worth millions. Today we are diving into one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern numismatics, the 2013 D1 cent coin that has been estimated at a jaw-dropping value of $47 million because of its rare combination of mint errors and production mistakes. And the possibilities surrounding this coin's creation make it one of the most fascinating subjects in the history of coin collecting. So if you have ever wondered how something as small and common as a penny could reach a value comparable to priceless art or luxury estates, then buckle in, because this story will blow your mind. Now let's start with the basics. The Lincoln cent has been around since 1909 and has been produced in countless billions over the decades. And in 2013, the Denver Mint was responsible for striking millions of these coins, marked with the D Mint mark under the date, and they were made primarily from copper-plated zinc weighing about 2.5 grams. Designed with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the shield reverse design that was introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial design that had been used since 1959. The shield design symbolized unity and was meant to connect the cent's long history with modern symbolism. But even in this modern era where technology at the Mint is advanced and production lines are efficient, mistakes can and do happen, and sometimes they result in spectacular anomalies that turn otherwise ordinary coins into multi-million-dollar rarities, and the 2013 D cent that has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide is a prime example. It is not just an era coin. It is a coin that brings together several era types at once, creating a perfect storm of rarity and desirability, making it essentially unique. And uniqueness is what drives astronomical prices in the coin market. So what exactly makes this coin worth $47 million? Well, let's break it down piece by piece. First, there is the possibility of a double die obverse error, where the hubbing process used to create the die resulted in a doubling of key design elements. Perhaps the date 2013 itself appears with strong, dramatic doubling. Or the word liberty or the motto I in God we trust show clear doubled impressions that are easily visible without magnification. And collectors go wild for double die errors, especially modern ones because they are so rare in today's precision minting environment. Then add to that the possibility of a major off-center strike where the coin design is shifted significantly so that Lincoln's portrait appears off to one side with part of the design missing and a large blank crescent of planchet exposed. And such errors instantly signal something out of the ordinary. But what if this coin also shows evidence of being struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps on a blank intended for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, which would make its weight, diameter, or metallic composition different from standard cents, and those wrong planchet errors are among the most desirable in the hobby, especially when they involve modern issues, and when you combine wrong planchet with double die and off-center strike you already have a once-in-a-generation coin. But then imagine if this coin also exhibits a brokerage error, where a coin stuck to the die during striking and left a mirror like incuse impression on another coin. So the reverse of the cent may show a ghostly backwards image of the obverse, or vice versa, adding yet another dramatic visual element. And then consider the presence of die cracks or cuds, where the minting die broke during use leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin. And suddenly you have not one but multiple dramatic anomalies visible to the naked eye. And collectors are fascinated by such coins because they tell a story of how mint machinery failed, how quality control missed it, and how this little piece of metal escaped into the world against all odds. And the possibilities of why such a coin would survive are endless. Perhaps it slipped past inspectors because the errors were subtle at first glance. Or perhaps someone at the mint recognized its oddities and intentionally let it go. And that speculation only adds to the coin's mystique. And when numismatists study a coin like this, they look for all the diagnostics that confirm its authenticity: the weight, the dimensions, the metallic composition, the sharpness of the strike, the exact placement of the errors. And once a coin like this is certified genuine by a top grading service, it becomes a treasure beyond compare. And when it enters the auction scene, the price potential is essentially limitless because the demand from elite collectors is so intense. And while $47 million may sound unbelievable, it is completely plausible in the world of rare collectibles where wealthy individuals compete for the privilege of owning the ultimate trophy piece. And this coin checks every box: uniqueness, dramatic visual appeal, rarity, condition, and the powerful narrative that surrounds it. So let's dive even deeper into each of these factors, starting with the double die element. Double dies occur when the die that strikes the coins receives multiple impressions from the hub that are misaligned, causing design details to appear doubled, and The most famous doubled dies such as the 1955 Lincoln cent or the 1972 doubled die cent are worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition, and those are coins from decades ago. So if a similar error occurred in 2013, it would be a shock to the numismatic community because such dramatic errors are thought to be nearly impossible in modern times, making it incredibly rare and highly desirable. Now consider the off-center strike, which happens when the blank planchet is not properly seated in the coining press and the die strikes only part of it, leaving part of the coin blank. Off-center errors range from minor to dramatic, and collectors especially prize those that are around 50% off-center while still showing the full date and mint mark. And if this 2013 D-era coin shows something like that, then it instantly stands out. Now let's add the wrong planchet possibility, which makes things even more astonishing, because if a cent was accidentally struck on a dime blank, it would weigh 2.27 grams instead of 2.5 and be smaller in diameter. Or if on a nickel blank, it would weigh 5 grams and be larger. And such coins have historically brought staggering prices at auction. And now imagine combining that with a doubled die and an off-center strike. The result is simply beyond comprehension. And then the brokerage error possibility makes it even wilder, since a brokerage occurs when a coin that has already been struck sticks to the die and then impresses its design into another blank, creating a mirror-like incurred reverse image that is instantly recognizable and incredibly rare. And when we combine all these errors together in one coin, we are looking at a specimen so unique that experts can only shake their heads in amazement. And then consider the state of preservation. If this coin survived in uncirculated condition with full mint luster, it would be even more desirable, because condition plays a huge role in determining value, and collectors always pay top dollar for coins that are well preserved, and the narrative of this coin adds yet another layer of value, because every collector wants a coin with a story, and this 2013 D-cent tells the story of modern minting gone wrong, of how even in an age of machines and computers, accidents can still happen, and those accidents can produce treasures beyond imagination. And when you put all of these factors together, the $47 million valuation no longer seems like fantasy but rather a reflection of how markets for rare, unique collectibles truly work. And if we compare this coin to other famous rarities such as the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for over $18 million, or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar, or the 1913 Liberty Nickel, we see that when only a handful of coins exist, or even just one unique piece, the price can reach the stratosphere, and this 2013 D-era cent is believed to be unique, which means the sky is the limit, and just imagine the bidding war that would erupt if it ever came to auction, with museums, wealthy investors, and elite collectors all competing for the chance to own it. And the publicity alone would make headlines worldwide, further boosting its legend. And as we reflect on this incredible story, we realize why coin collecting continues to capture the imagination of people everywhere. Last 1989 1-cent USA coin, where history, chance, and minting errors collide to transform the most ordinary pocket change into legendary treasures worth fortunes. Today we are going to unravel the fascinating story of the 1989 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts around the globe by being valued at an astounding $20 million, a number that might sound unimaginable for a coin meant to be worth just a single cent, but when you learn about the combination of errors, mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances that surround this coin, you will understand exactly why it has become such a highly coveted piece in the numismatic world, and why its story continues to inspire countless people to check their own change in the hope of finding a hidden gem. Now, to truly appreciate why the 1989 1-cent can command $20 million, we need to first set the stage, because by 1989 the Lincoln cent had already been in production for 80 years since its introduction in 1909, when the United States Mint decided to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln with a coin that would become the first regular issue U.S. coin to bear the image of a real person. The obverse designed by Victor David Brenner, showing the iconic bust of Lincoln facing right, with the motto "I and God we trust" across the top, Liberty to the left, and the date to the right, while the reverse from 1959 through 2008 featured the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, so the 1989 1 cent is part of that long-running Lincoln Memorial cent series, struck by the billions at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and made from copper-plated zinc since 1982 when the mint shifted away from the 95% copper alloy due to rising metal costs, with the modern cents weighing 2.5 grams and consisting of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. But even within such massive production runs, errors can and do slip through, and when those errors are extreme enough they can elevate a coin from pocket change to priceless rarity, and that is exactly what happened with the legendary 1989 era cent that has been valued at $20 million, because what makes it so valuable is not one error alone but the remarkable possibility of multiple errors layered together, creating a unique specimen unlike any other, a coin that carries the story of minting mishaps in a single dramatic piece of history. Now let us explore the possibilities of what kinds of errors could be present in such a coin, starting with one of the most well-known and desirable error types, the doubled die, which occurs when the die used to strike the coins has misaligned hub impressions, creating a doubled image on the struck coin, often visible in the date, the inscriptions, or Lincoln's profile, and dramatic doubled dies such as the 1955 cent or the 1972 cent have become legendary, selling for tens of thousands of dollars in top condition. So if the 1989 cent shows bold doubling on the obverse inscriptions like "I in God We Trust" or "Liberty" or the date 1989 itself, it would already be an extremely valuable coin. But imagine if it also exhibits an off-center strike where the design is not properly centered on the blank planchet, leaving part of the coin blank and shifting the portrait of Lincoln noticeably off to one side. And such errors are highly collectible, especially when the date is still visible. Then add to that the possibility of a broadstrike error where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to expand wider than normal and creating distorted design elements. Or perhaps even a wrong planchet error where the 1989 cent was struck on a blank intended for another denomination such as a dime or a foreign coin, making its weight, size, and metal composition completely different from standard 1989 cents, which would make it instantly stand out to collectors and experts. And as if that were not enough, imagine that this coin also displays dramatic die cracks or die breaks, often called cuds, where part of the die fractured, leaving large raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface, or even a brockage error where another coin stuck to the die and left a mirrored incuse impression on one side of the error coin, producing a ghostly reversed image. And when you combine doubled die, off-center strike, wrong planchet, broad strike, brockage, and die cracks all in one coin, you end up with a specimen so rare and visually striking that no other coin in existence can match it, making it truly unique. And uniqueness is the holy grail in the coin collecting world, because when there is only one known example of something, the competition among collectors to own it can drive the value to astronomical levels. And that is why this 1989 1 cent is estimated at $20 million, because it is not just another error coin. It is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting anomalies, a coin that encapsulates multiple error types in one body and tells a story of chance and survival that defies belief. Now consider how such a coin could have even survived, because most major errors are either caught by the mint's quality control or damaged in circulation. Yet this particular cent appears to have escaped undetected and survived in remarkable condition, possibly even in mint state with full luster, which magnifies its appeal to collectors because condition is one of the key drivers of value. The better the preservation, the higher the demand, and when a unique error coin is also in top condition, it becomes a trophy piece that every advanced collector dreams of. And when such a coin is authenticated and graded by a top grading service, it gains legitimacy that ensures its place in the pantheon of numismatic legends. And when it eventually comes to auction, the bidding war among wealthy collectors, museums, and investors would be intense, driving the price higher and higher until it reaches the staggering $20 million mark. And Some might question how a coin meant to be worth 1 cent could ever reach such a figure, but history shows us that when rarity, demand, condition, and narrative align, anything is possible, and we need only look at examples like the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for over $18 million, the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, which reached $10 million, or the 1913 Liberty Nickel, which fetched millions despite being a nickel, and all of these cases show that the coin market values rarity and uniqueness above face value or even metal content, and so the 1989 era cent with its multiple dramatic mistakes fits perfectly into that category, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that transcends its humble denomination and becomes a cultural artifact. And beyond its errors, this coin also represents a fascinating moment in history, because the 1980s were a transitional time for the US Mint as it adapted to new metals, new technologies, and the challenges of mass production, and yet even in that modern era of precision, a coin like this could slip through, reminding us that perfection is never guaranteed and that even mistakes have a place, and in fact it is the mistakes that collectors treasure the most, because they tell stories that perfect coins never could, stories of machinery faltering, of human oversight, of chance events that create something truly extraordinary. And in that sense, the 1989 cent is more than just an error coin. It is a symbol of imperfection transformed into value, a piece of everyday life elevated into legend. And that is why it continues to inspire, because it reminds us that treasures can appear where we least expect them, that something as small and overlooked as a penny could in fact hold the power to change someone's life forever. And so when we talk about the 1989 1 cent worth $20 million, we are not just discussing a number or a price. We are exploring the very essence of what makes coin collecting so exciting: the thrill of discovery, the joy of storytelling, and the eternal hope that maybe, just maybe, the next coin we find could be the one that turns out to be a fortune. And that is the legacy of the 1989 cent, a coin born of error but destined for greatness, a tiny piece of metal that carries within it a story of rarity, value, and wonder that will echo through the numismatic community for generations to come.